So dream team of the season for the Rugby Championship. I got the Lions gear on today because I'll admit I got a few box in this team. It's a terrible day here in Auckland, and I initially wasn't going to do a dream team of the tournament, so it may in fact be a terrible idea, but enough people have asked me for the season dream team, championship dream team. I decided let's give it a crack. With so many good performers over so many weeks, there's gonna be guys I leave out. It's just inevitable. So as always, I do love it when you guys leave me the feedback in the comments on who you guys would have had, because yeah, this gives me another point of view, which is always appreciated. For this video, I initially, well, you guys, if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I picked these based kind of like a fantasy team. So it's not specifically loose head prop, tight head prop, loose head lock, tight head lock, you know, open side, blind side, number 8. It's not quite that specific. It's more just these general positions. But I am going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to add a bench for this team of the tournament so I can get some more of these guys in. And also, I usually base a lot of this off the stats. I've decided this time I'm going to go with my gut. Sometimes it's a guy who I just thought played outstanding. Sometimes it is a gut feeling, or I don't know, a nice story. Lots of different reasons I could have picked a guy for this kind of dream team of the tournament. But yes, as always, let me know your thoughts on the squad once I'm done. And yeah, leave your comments as to who you think should have been here. In all honesty, there are more Boks and All Blacks here than there are Wallabies and Pumas. That's probably to do with the nature of the way the table ended up finishing. So just an FYI, if you were looking to see lots of either of those teams, then perhaps don't get your hopes too far up. Right, so let's start with the props. I have gone with Carl Tuinukuafe and I've gone with Owen Franks. Both All Blacks props here. Tuinukuafe has kind of gone from not having a Super Rugby contract, you know, at the start of the season, to an All Black, and a fine All Black at that as well. I mean, you look at him in that performance against Argentina, in Argentina, and his scrummaging is just, it's up there with the best of the best. So, I mean, I know the Argentine scrum's not been the best all season, but Big Carl's been putting in some big shifts. His work around the park is getting there. But as a prop, your primary job is to scrummage. He's certainly got that in spades. He's got a pretty sweet mustache, and he is a very popular guy. Not long ago, he was a bouncer. So for him, the path to All Blacks kind of stardom has been a pretty quick one. For Franks, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Scrummager, I did read, to be fair, this is my second attempt at this. Not a second attempt at a video, but I wrote down a list of players. I had to think about it, and I read some. I did read some stats, and I read some articles, and I kind of reworked my team on a bunch of influences, but you know, still my own choices. They did say that Franks forced a lot of scrum penalties and conceded very few. So again, a props there to scrummage. He does that for fun. I've heard years ago that him and his brother like to go to the gym and like to practice scrummaging. That's what they do. He does it very well. For the bench, I have gone with the two South African props. I've gone with Kitsoff and Malherbe. Kitsoff is one of my favorite loose head props, and he does good work around the park. Malherbe has been better than I thought he was going to be. I really thought he was going to struggle, but he's been solid without being that spectacular. I feel like the Argentinian and the Wallabies scrums have not kind of lived up to the hype, especially Tongan Thor wasn't probably as impactful as he could have been when he was starting. I mean, Kepu couldn't keep a starting place for the whole tournament. The Argentinian scrum was getting bossed around, a bit of injuries and a bit of chopping and changing. But so yeah, I've gone with Boks and I've gone with All Blacks for my props. In the lock, second row, I have gone with, oh no, I forgot about my hooker. Where is he gone? This one was a hard one. So I've gone with Malcolm Marx. It really was between him and Cody Taylor, because again, I don't feel like any of the, I mean, Krivy is always good, but I think he could have been better. None of the Aussie hookers were really that outstanding. There was a bit of chopping and changing there as well. Marks, I read that he had an extraordinary number of turnovers, which is kind of what we expect from him when we see him wearing this uniform. Initially, I thought his start to the tournament was kind of slow, but that's only because I'm used to him being, as one guy put it, pretty much almost like Superman. So when he's just really, really good, he's not as impressive as you think he can be because he sets that bar so high. So, New Zealand fans I know will criticise his line-out throwing, but he's a pretty darn good hooker, one of the best, if not the best, in the world. I'll do my backup hooker in just a moment, but you probably know who that is from what I just said. Second row, I've gone with Elizabeth and Scott Barrett. So again, I'm continuing the theme of lots of All Blacks and South Africans here. Elizabeth, it is crazy to think that before the Rugby Championship, he didn't play any Super Rugby. And he was just put straight back into the Springboks. Like, not even kind of, go have a few weeks of Curry Cup and then once you're fit, straight into international level. And he didn't look that far off the pace, which is kind of scary. I mean, he did have a couple of, at least I think 1 or 2 games where he didn't last the whole game. He got substituted. I think he got a yellow card in one game. But, I mean, for the most part, the guy in the line-out was very good. Key line-out wins. Key steals at sometimes. And I still think he's going to get better as his fitness gets, even better compared to what it has been. For Scott Barrett, I mean, it could have easily been Sam Whitelock, really. Retallick unlucky with injury, otherwise he's probably a shoo-in. He only played half the tournament. Scott Barrett, I think he's the unsung Barrett. It's mostly about Bowden and it's a bit about Geordie, and then kind of Scott is there doing all the hard yards in the type 5 and sometimes even on the blind side. He tackles well, he jumps well, he's got a really good work rate. I've said it before and I'll say it again, New Zealand have got 3 really, really top-class locks, and there's probably a gap between them and the likes of Romano and Quinton Strange, a bunch of other guys. But having Scott Barrett there to replace Retallick is a pretty feel-good thing if you are an All Blacks fan, and he has been asked probably to do more than he would have expected, given that Retallick didn't play that much of the tournament. For my backups, I've gone with backup hooker is Cody Taylor, and backup lock I've gone with Thomas Lavanini. Taylor, I think it was between him and Marks, really, as I said before. He's looked good with the ball. I know South African fans will say his passes are a little bit forward. But yeah, his line-out throwing is probably better than anyone else. Like, it's certainly better than Nathan Harris. It's pretty reliable. All Blacks get pretty good service in that area. He's good around the park. Gets turnovers every now and again. Not quite as much as Malcolm Marks. Tackles well. I believe he had really good tackle count. Sometimes bust tackles. He's not slow. He's going to make Dane Coles' job really hard. That guy is starting in the Mitre 10 Cup this time, starting on the bench in the Mitre 10 Cup this week, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But yep, Taylor. Lavanini, he continues to kind of grow in terms of that reputation as just a really good lock. He's previously had that reputation as a bad boy. He missed the yellow cards, missed the penalties, a bit of dirty play. But he put in some really good shifts this Rugby Championship, tackled hard. Still probably, I know it's hard for a big man, needs to get a bit lower when he's going forward with the ball because he doesn't make a whole lot of meters, but he tackles hard, solid in the line out, good work rate from him, and keeping it clean, importantly. So kind of in terms of his improvement, it's been kind of night and day to what we've seen from him before. Loose forwards is probably hands down the most competitive area. It's without doubt that I'm missing so many guys with these loose forwards, but I had to pick, so I have gone with Peter Steph du Toit. The guy was just a tackling machine. He's a huge part in what got the Springboks that win in Wellington. Passionate guy, speaks well. There's always been kind of questions about him as like, should he be playing in the second row, should he be playing in the loose forwards? I've seen arguments for him being wasted either way or the other. Oh, he's not good in the locks, he's not good at loose forward. He played both, mostly at loose forward this tournament, but every week, virtually, his tackle count was like 20 plus. Really good work rate. Yeah, man, I don't know what else I can say. He just had a massive, massive tournament. It's really encouraging to see him take such a step up. Next, I've also gone with another Bok here. I've gone with Sia Kolisi. A lot of pressure on this guy as Springboks captain. He's not an out-and-out open side. So there's always been a bit of concern about who's going to be the South African fetcher. When it was that back row of Dutoy, Whiteley and Kolisi, it's kind of like none of these guys are really fetchers, but Malcolm Marx is there, so kind of does that balance out. Kolisi's defensive efforts have been impressive this Rugby Championship. His work with the ball is better than guys like Peter Steph Dutoy. It's better than Francois Lowe. It's better than Warren Whiteley. He does things that they just can't do. He's got that punch. He breaks tackles. And that's needed because you can't just... It's good to have a bunch of guys who tackle, but sometimes you need a guy to get over the line. And Sia is that man. Finally, in that last game, we saw him pass and get a try. Was it a try assist or was there another pass? Either way, he finally passed when he got a break, so that's like the final piece of the puzzle for him. But yeah, I thought he had a really big tournament after having a quiet Super Rugby season as well. So it's good for him to take that step up and prove that he is the man for the green jersey. Here, I get David Pocock. Finally, we get a Wallaby on the board. Tackle machine, turnover machine, and just key guy for the Wallabies. How many times were the Wallabies under pressure in this tournament? Probably a phase or two from conceding a try. And this guy just jackals over the ball and gets a turnover. He is the key man for those key moments. And surprisingly, he did a lot of good work with the ball this tournament as well. Like, I always go on about his knees. Like, that guy shouldn't be running with the ball. Like, he still did it a fair bit. Scored tries, got try assists. So, yeah, I thought he's back to kind of his magnificent best. And it was very pleasing to see, even for us here in New Zealand, to see that guy for the Wallabies. Perhaps even a little concerning to see how they would have done without him. But, yeah, classy player. Reserve loose forward. I mean, I put Matera here. He had a really big tournament. He's dynamic. Really good with the ball. Defensive efforts improved as well. Some criticism about him for his temper. But it's kind of balancing his enthusiasm for the game with keeping things perfectly clean. It's hard not to put him in the starting lineup, to be fair. He had a really good tournament. But I mean, Kieran Reid's not even here. There's a lot, and you guys are going to mention them in the comments. I know there's a lot of loose forwards who could have been here. Trust me, I know. I had to pick. I had to narrow it down. Those are my choices. Other choices are definitely welcome. It's definitely not the right pick. It's just my pick. Over to the backs. I've gone with Faf de Klerk. I mean, when you look at some of the other teams, you look at New Zealand with Aaron Smith, TJ and Triple T, all very good. They all kind of got mixed minutes. Obviously, Aaron Smith getting the most. TJ really impressed in some of his efforts when he came on. Triple T and what limited time he had looked good. Bertrand looks really good for the Pumas, and Guinea is still that guy for the Wallabies. But Faf is just the absolute guy for the Boks. I think he played all but a few minutes of the whole tournament. He played 80 minutes most games. So his influence can't be kind of understated. His defensive role for the Boks is very important. In those harrying runs and putting the other scrum half under pressure. His box kicking even kind of got better, especially in that last game. So he's a very important piece in that Springbok puzzle. I hope they can find him a suitable backup because it's a bit much for him to be playing 80 minutes every week. Especially you worry going into a World Cup year if he was to get injured. But for this tournament, I thought he was outstanding and it was really good to see him back. He seems like he's gotten better since he's been in England, so that is a good thing to see. Fly half, I have gone with Nico Sanchez. I mean, it's hard. Again, Beauden Barrett got 4 tries in one game. Pollard really got better and really put his mark on that number 10 jersey for the Boks after kind of a bit of a woeful kicking display early on, but he really improved. Sanchez was pretty much good the whole tournament. His kicking was not the best, but it was very good, far from the worst. I'm looking at Pollard and Bodie, I think, for the kicking stats that were really dragged down by a couple of poor games. He got a lot of tries. He was a key cog in that Argentinian backline, and he sets up so much of what they do. So kind of like what we've seen with South Africa, kind of all the eggs in the de Klerk basket for the Pumas. A lot of it is all the eggs in that Sanchez basket, although he did get a knock in that final game and had to go off. And for the end of that first half he was off. They still looked all right. There's a fire engine going somewhere, which is surprising seeing it is really raining a lot. Anyway, backup number 9 and 10. Well, kind of 9 and midfield, 10. I've gone with Guinea because I think his performance for the Wallabies are not quite what South Africa get out of de Klerk, but it's on a similar level. I mean, in the wings for the Wallabies, you've got Phipps and you've got... what's the other Waratahs guy's name? God, his name's right in my head. It's going to come to me later. They got Phipps. They got Brumby's guy. Man, both their names have gone out of my head. You guys know the Powell. Joe Powell and Jake Gordon. Yes. Oh, I knew they'd come. They've got those guys, but none of them has quite been trusted to step up to the mark. It's pretty much all the trust in Guinea. And he's still a key man for them. Perhaps not as much as the Rebels lean on him in Super Rugby. But I think going into a World Cup year, it's going to be Guinea. And he's shown a lot of what he can do. He's not back to his best, but he's not that far away. And Pollard, as I said, he's pretty much made that number 10 jersey his own for the Boks. Some of his running work and defensive work has really improved as well. And in the latter half of the tournament, his kicking was also on song. So I'm picking Pollard there to cover kind of 10 and 12, because in that one game when he had to go out to 12 and Yankees at 10, still looked very good. And I've seen him there for the Bulls as well. Also very good. Yankees at 10, Pollard at 12. Something I might want to see a little bit more of going forward. Midfield. I have gone with Goodhue, and I have gone with Reece Hodge. Goodhue came into this tournament with, I think, 1 cap, maybe 2. And I doubted him, to be fair. I doubted that he would really put up his hand, because in that game against the French, when he got his debut, he was found out a little bit. But I think in this tournament, he's really showed us what he can do. There's a lot of competition in that All Black midfield with Anton Leonard-Brown, with Sonny Bill Williams, with Ryan Crotty. So it's an area we're not lacking a whole lot of depth. Goodhue certainly proved he can do a job. Again, defensively and with the ball, he's proved that he can bust a few tackles. He's a big guy, and he puts that to good use. Reece Hodge, I mean, for the Wallabies, it's Kuridrani and it's Karevi. Those are the number 13 guys for the Wallabies. Hodge has played 15. He's played on the wing. He's played 10 for the Rebels. At least I've seen that. And they gave him 13. It was kind of an unknown. I think it was one of the few positions in the backline he had never started for the Wallabies. He's traditionally, recent times anyway, been their kind of utility cover on the bench. But he was trusted with that 13 jersey. And he didn't miss a beat. He looked really good. I mean, he got beaten a few times in that last game in Argentina. But for the most part, he looks good. He's sometimes, obviously, tactically told to loiter out on the wing, because I guess that's a natural spot for him as well. But they make good use of him. He's defensively usually pretty sound. He's got a massive boot on him, which he used to good effect a couple of times in that tournament. So I'm happy to put Reece Hodge in there. He's an unsung hero of that Wallabies team. And again, I know there's a lot of other midfielders who could have been in this spot. But yeah, I've gone with Reece Hodge. Outside backs, the flashy guys. Really hard to pick. I've gone with Rico Ioane, Emiliano Boffelli, and Piwadianti. Excitement machines, all of them. I think Rico really cemented his spot as one of the best wingers in the world. I know the Blues flirted with him kind of in the midfield a bit during their Super Rugby season, but on the wing for the All Blacks, when that guy's playing with a top team, he just is a top player, and he still manages to score tries that other wingers wouldn't get. He is just an exceptional player. He's still very young, which is kind of scary. He's signed up to an extended contract with the New Zealand Rugby now, which is encouraging for All Blacks and New Zealand and Blues fans. But yeah, very, very good player. One of the top try scorers of the tournament. Boffelli, never really disappointed. He's one of the biggest guys in that Argentinian backline. He can bust a tackle. He's got gas. He can make good defensive reads. He can kick the ball a mile as well. he is just a very exciting player to watch. I think if you're an Argentinian fan, you're very lucky to have that guy in your team. Passionate as well. I know they always go on, but I get a bit sick of it when people say Argentinians are passionate. Yes, but they're more than just that. Skilled as well. And this guy's got it in abundance. So, yeah, very good tournament from him. And Piwa Dianti, he's not that young. Like, I think he's 23, which, I mean, when you compare to some other guys who come into international teams at maybe, I don't know, like 19, 20, he's not that young. But the amount that he has accomplished in one season of kind of Super Rugby and then Springboks call-up is astonishing. And he looks like he could really, really cement himself as one of the greats. I know it's still early on, but the guy has shown us so much this season. He's smart. I mean, his defensive work's getting better. And yeah, he's made tries that he didn't have any right to score either. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to put him in there. He looks like, if we can keep him in South African rugby for a few years going forward, he's not going to disappoint. For the backup, kind of utility back, Caleb Petty, I've got him in there. He plays wing, he plays fullback. Interestingly, he kind of, in my eyes anyway, overshadowed the work of Israel Folau, who's obviously one of the superstar players of the Wallabies. I thought he was more consistent, sometimes made better decisions. Obviously, Folau criticised for that Argentina game, not passing. But yeah, Caleb Petty is just Mr. Consistent. Plays fullback and wing, as I said. He's scored a couple of tries in that last game. Good under the high ball. Very trustworthy pair of hands. I mean, I feel bad because Delgui, Moyano, even for the midfield, the Argentinian guys did well. Colby did well when he was called up for the box. There's so many. If I go on and give an honourable mention to everyone I think did well, I'm probably going to be listing half of the teams that played in the tournament. So yes, that's my team. By popular demand, people asked for it. Here it is. As I said, it is a terrible day here in Auckland. It is really raining outside, so this is probably a terrible team. I'm sure you guys will let me know. Nah, it's not terrible. There's a lot of good players here. Come on, guys. But as always, there are others. Sam Whitelock's not here. Kieran Reid's not here. Franco Mostert's not here. Man, he played well. Yes, I'm going to have to stop listing names because otherwise I'm going to be here all day. You guys let me know your thoughts on who else you thought kind of deserves a spot. As I said, there are going to be many. And, yeah, I think it's all right. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.